So in today's video, we are going to finish working on our animation for our spider. We've got the movement working from moving from point A, where it starts off, to moving to point B and then back again. But now we need to go and sort out the animation so that the spider looks like it's actually walking or running when it starts moving. I don't know if we're going to add in some kind of delay when it gets to each point. And if we do later on, we will have to make the spider stop and just play the idle animation, but we'll do that later on. Today we're going to make the walking animation work, and then we will maybe start putting in some backgrounds into our game just for temporary purposes so that we can see what it's going to look like. And then we might even add in a few, actually we might go and work on our coin, a collectible coin, or either we might work on the what's it called the enemy, so making the enemy not so that it can attack the player, but when you walk into the player we need to add in a collider onto it or a trigger so that eventually we can add some functionality to it. So let's jump into it and get started. So here's our game. We finished off in the previous episode by making our, where's our spider? Here's our spider. Okay, so clearly it's not working because I believe I put it in, I played around with the position of our level and the size of it, because I want to change the size of the tiles as well as the player itself, or pretty much everything, because on camera like this it kind of looks too big. It needs to be like zoomed out or either made smaller. But for now, let's just go and move our points. So we can move our point A to over here somewhere, just over there. And then point B, let's just move it over here, but let's make it so that they all have 0.3 on the y-axis, and the same as the point A, 0.3, just so that they're at the same height. So now our spider we will go and put over here. So it's going to start off over here, and then if we play the game, we should be able to see our spider walk from point A to point B and then flip around straight away and then go back to point A, and then it's just going to keep doing that back and forth. But now let's go and fix this animation. So here you can see that when we play our game, if we go to our character, you can see we are now playing an idle animation, and as soon as we start moving we start to play this walking or running animation. I don't know what it's called, but it's one of them. So we want to do that with our spider. So as soon as our spider, or at the moment, all the time, we can just make our default animation a walking animation because our spider is currently walking all the time. But we won't do that. What we'll do is we'll programmatically do it so that later on when we add in and introduce to some kind of delay to our spider, then it will do it automatically. So let's go and do that. So if we jump into our our script here, we can go to our spider script. Now we have to access the rigid body on our spider. So let's see, do we have a rigid body? Yeah, we do. Okay, so on here all we have to do in our update method is create some kind of velocity variable, but let's do that up here. So let's go and say private, this is going to be a float, and then we can go and say velocity. And that's going to be it. So in our update method, after we've done all of these checks, we can just go and say velocity is going to be equal to rigid body dot velocity, and then we're going to get the velocity on the x-axis because we don't need the y velocity. So we'll just get the x, and then once we've done that, we need to change the, what is it called? I can't remember what we did in our animator. So let's go out of gameplay mode first. Now, on our animator, when we click on our spider, we should have our animations set up. So when we go from an idle to a move state, we need to go and set the set the speed variable here, the parameter rather, greater than 0.1. So let's go and update that. So all we need to do that is go animator dot set float, and then that's going to be speed. It needs to be spelled correctly, including capitals, I believe, speed, and then we can just go and set our velocity to it. So that should be fine. So this is going to play walk animation. So let's save that and let's test that out. So we should now have a walking animation for our spider. So let's go play it and then hopefully we do. So now you can see our spider is moving with its animations. So that's cool. So that's fine. Now, just because we're done working on our movement from left or from point A to point B, I'm just going to go to our spider here and I'm just going to comment this out just for now because we don't really need the visual wireframe for that. So let's go get rid of that and then we can move on to, I think we're going to carry on working on our spider. Okay, so that's fine. You can see it's still working. We just can't see them anymore, so that's fine. Now let's carry on working on our spider, but let's work on the trigger. So when we move into a enemy, in this case our spider, let's go navigate our way to our spider. So when we go to our spider, you can see, okay, well, we can't walk through it, but nothing actually happens to it. So we need to get some kind of action happening here. So let's go and see on our spider, do we have a, yeah, so we already have a collider on it. So let's go and set that to is trigger. And then actually wait, that's not going to work because I think now that that's going to fall out. Actually, it's not. Let's see if we can still collide with it. Okay, so we go straight through it. Now let's go and add a script here so we can deal with something when we walk through our, or when we intersect our spider. So let's create, I think it's a, what is it? It's going to be a on trigger because we click the trigger button on trigger, enter 2D. So let's go and say print, what is it? It's going to be collision dot game object dot name. I'm just going to do that just so we can see that we are colliding with our player. So that should be printed out in here. Now I'm just going to go and get rid of these print statements because we no longer need those, and they're kind of annoying me in our console over there. So let's play that and see, navigate our way back to our spider, and then we can check to see if we're colliding with it. So we should get a message here saying player, which we do, and that's going to happen every single time our player intersects or our spider touches our character. So you can see here there's a bubble or whatever circle here with 3 in it. That means it's going to change to 4 because now our spider has moved across or interacted with our character 4 times. So that's working fine. Now what we want to do when we interact with an enemy is not, we have not decided that yet because we're going to have multiple different enemies. They're each going to have different effects to the player. So one of them might kill it like outright. The other one might just damage the health. So we might have to wait until we've actually got a health bar set up in the game, as well as our health system. So for now that we've got that done, let's go and should we work on one of our collectible? Let's test out a collectible by attempting to make one. So we need to go into our assets folder. Let's see, where do we find a coin? Let's just type it coin. There we go. Okay, so first of all, before we do that, let's go and, okay, so we've got 2 different sizes here. Coin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we'll use this one because these ones are all the same size. So let's drag this in here and let's use this one. So game, that's what our coin is going to look like. I'm just going to leave this right here. Now let's create an animation for our coin. So let's go and bring back our animation tab. Let's drag this over here. So this is going to be a fairly simple animation. So let's create a new animation. Now this is going to be in, where is it going to be? It's going to be in our project folder, which I believe is assets, animations. There it is. Okay, so now let's create a new folder called coin. and then this is going to be a spin animation. Okay, so now to make our animation, let's just copy all of these and paste these in here, and then we can just see if that works. So that's a bit fast. Let's bring it out, and hopefully that will be about half the speed. Something like that. Maybe a little bit slower like that, maybe. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so let's just play the game and see what that looks like. So we now should have a simple coin that's spinning. Okay, so here we have a simple coin that's spinning round and round, which is good. It might be a bit fast, but we'll deal with that later. It's not a big issue. Okay, so now let's go and make it that we can collide with it and actually collect it. So to do that, we are going to need a few variables. So let's get our global script. So in our global script, we need to create a coin count. And we're going to use this in our global script because we're only going to have one instance of this. So wherever we are in the game, we will have one single coin count. And then we haven't actually decided what we're going to use those coins for. Maybe, depending on how far we get in this game, we might add in a shop or something. But for now, let's just go and represent it as a simple integer. So let's go and say public static int, and this is going to int. This is going to be coin count, and we're going to set that to 0 at the start, because when you first begin the game, you start off with 0 coins, and then obviously when you play the game once, you'll collect some. If you don't, then it'll still be 0. But later on, maybe if we implement saving into the game, we might save your coin count, and then you can use them later on in one of the features that we might implement. So let's go to our player, and actually let's go to our coin, because we need to add a script onto our coin. So let's go and say coin. Create a new coin script, and then we can go and edit that. So once that's done compiling, we can go and edit that. So let's just put that into our scripts folder. So let's open that up. Okay, so in here we are going to need I think what we'll do is let's go and add a collider onto it. So this is going to be it's just going to be a circle collider, because that should fit our coin, because it's circle. So now we're going to make that is a trigger, so that we can go through it without seeing the player stop once it's collided with it, because that's just going to make the movement of the character. It's going to interrupt it, and it's going to make it look like you're getting stuck for a split second, and then once it disappears, you can carry on. So we're going to eliminate that by making it a trigger, and then hopefully that will allow us to just walk straight through it while we pick it up. So the same thing we did for our spider. Let's go and copy that, and then let's just paste this in here. So that should allow us to see if we are colliding with our coin. So what's this? Object not set to an instance, edge. Okay, so don't think that's anything to do with us. Okay, so on our coin, we've added in our collider as well as our coin script. So let's go play the game and see if this works. So we should be able to collide with our coin. And there you go. So you can see that now we collide with it as many times as we want, although that's not how we're going to set up the game. What we're going to do is we are going to, as soon as we collide with it, we're just going to destroy it. So let's actually do that right now. So instead of printing out our label, we can go and say destroy collision.gameObject. That should be it. And then let's just test that out and see. So what I like to do is I like to program things and then test them out straight away, because if you just end up programming a lot of different things at the same time and then without testing them, they might not work. So it's easier to just program like one line at a time. Well, not really. In this case, it was one simple line. So let's test it out, see if it works, and then we can move on. So okay, so you see that's not supposed to happen. So now the reason why that is happening, because we are doing this on our coin script. So anything that collides with our coin will get destroyed, which is not what we want. We want the opposite. So we want to go and say destroy game object rather. So that should destroy whatever the current script that code has been executed on is attached to. So that should destroy our coin, which it does. So that's perfect. Now let's go and add some kind of indication, coin count indication to our screen. So we're going to need to create a canvas for that. So let's create a UI text, because once you create text, it should create a canvas automatically, which it does. There it is. So on our canvas, we will, let's see, where's our game? So our text is over there. So let's zoom out, and then let's just put this up here at the top for now. It's not going to look anything special. It's just simply going to say coins, and then to start off with, it's going to be 0. We'll just change the size of it to about 12. What does that look like in the game? Yeah, so that's fine. It doesn't need to be that big. It's just simply going to be a coin indication. So that's fine. Now, let us go and make that work. So we are going to need a new game object. So in here, let's create an empty object, and we'll call this let's call this UI manager. On this UI manager, we will create a script also called UI manager, and that's going to obviously control everything or manage everything to do with our UI elements, so our text, our buttons, and all of that in the main game scene. Just drag that into our scripts, and then we can go and edit that. So on our UI manager, we need to, just for now, let's just work on our, what's it called, on our coin indication. So this is going to be a text. So let's go and import using text mesh pro, like that. And then we are going to need a serialized field, and this is going to be, what is it called? It's called a text mesh pro UGUI, and then we'll call this coin indicator. Okay, so that's fine. Now we don't need our stop method, not for now, so let's get rid of that. And then in our update method, all we have to do is go and say coin indicator dot text is going to be equal to, now I'm going to use the method where you go $, open quotation marks, and then we can write in some kind of text here. So it's going to say coins, which is what we want, colon, and then we will open up our curly brackets, and this allows us to put a variable in here. So here we can go and say global dot coin count. There we go. So that just helps us to not have to format the integer into text. We can just do it in a string technically. So we'll go save that, and let's go play the game and see if we get a coin indication on the screen. So let's play, and it's not going to work because we haven't dragged this in. So on our UI manager, let's go and drag in our text. Let's drag that in there. Now I'm just going to rename this so that we know what it is. So this is going to be coin indicator. Like that. Okay, so UI manager, that should update like that. All right, so let's test this out. So these errors should disappear. I don't know what this one is for. We'll figure that out later. So now let's go and jump up and see if we can collect that coin. So we've collected it. Now we don't get an update in our text. So let's go and see, where is our coin method? Okay, so instead of, well, along with us destroying the coin object, we also need to go and increment our coin count. So let's go and say global dot coin count plus plus. So that should just add 1 to the coin count. So let's test it out. Now that we've done that, that should be it for today's episode, if it works. So let's see, count, or we've collected that. Now we've got 1 coin in our coin count, and if we play the game again, we should have 0 coins again. So 0, yeah, so that's fine. That's perfect. Now let's just go and test our spider quick. Can we still collide with our spider? Yes, we can, and our spider is still moving from left to right and then back. Perfect. Okay, so that is going to be it. That is going to be it for today's episode. So thanks for watching. If you made it this far, please go and hit this button over here and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any other videos. Also, go ahead and watch these videos on this side if you haven't already done so. But yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's episode. Goodbye.